Hello, I decided to remake this video because I didn't like the way I worded things in my last video on the ROCIE. Now, there are various groups that are called Old Calendarists who are in schism from the Russian Orthodox Church, which claim to be the Russian Orthodox Church. I don't have a complete list of them, but there's the Russian Orthodox Autonomous Church, Russian True Orthodox Church, and the Russian Orthodox Church in Exile. Now, this is a confusing situation. I remember some time ago, back when I identified as an Old Calendarist believer, the Old Calendarist layman Vladimir Moss directed me to the Russian True Orthodox Church under Bishop Stefan. I Googled that name, RTOC, or Russian True Orthodox Church, and I discovered that there were two groups with the same name, RTOC. Vladimir Moss said he recommended the one under Bishop Stefan. The problem with scenarios like this is that it is too subjective. Why should I uncritically accept Vladimir Moss's opinion? God never said he's inspired or infallible. How do I know he was being entirely honest? How do I know, he wasn't governed by political factors? How do I know he didn't have some personal vendetta against the other side? How do I know he can be trusted? And why do these groups in the Old Calendarist world, such as the GOCs, use the same name? This is confusing. There's the Russian Orthodox Autonomous Church under Archbishop Andrei. But Archbishop Gregory of Colorado claims to be the Russian Orthodox Autonomous Church. Or at least he claims to be a Russian Orthodox Autonomous Church, ROAC. He has his polemical case against the ROAC under Andrei. They have their polemical case against Gregory of Colorado. Who's telling the truth? Is there a way to know who's telling the truth? How do we know that these people are being entirely honest and truthful? How do we know they haven't exaggerated or lied? I'm not accusing them, I'm just asking a question, because I do believe in various Eastern Orthodox, or after referred to simply as Orthodox for the purpose of brevity, circles and Old Calendar circles, there is an attitude going around where they believe that lying in sin is permissible if it's done with a blessing or under obedience. I would argue the God of a religion that permits lying in sin is morally defective, not the greatest conceivable being, not the Christian God. Okay? And there's the Russian Orthodox Church in Exile under Metropolitan Agafangel. I believe he's Metropolitan. I don't know. Maybe he's called Archbishop. Anyway, all these groups are claiming to be Russian Orthodoxy. But the actual Russian Orthodox Church under, that is the Moscow Patriarchate, does not recognize these groups. The Moscow Patriarch considers them schismatic. So it's just a disaster with these people. And look at these GOC groups. I heard that there's a dozen groups in Greece claiming to be the GOC. Which, if any, is the GOC? The answer to the question depends on who you ask. But you're not guaranteed that the person you're asking is being entirely honest, that he's not lying, that he's not an ethnocentrist, a racist, a nationalist, a chauvinist, that he's not governed by political factors. Again, how do you know these people are telling you the truth? How do you know that they're honest, ethical people? And Eastern Orthodoxy itself is confusing. The schism between Moscow and Constantinople. Who's Orthodox here? Who's Orthodox? The answer to the question depends on who you ask. Again, you're not guaranteed that the person you're asking is not a racist or a nationalist or something. I asked a Russian Orthodox Church abroad priest about this schism between Moscow and Constantinople, and I told him that Orthodoxy teaches us to avoid schism. Who's the schismatic here? And he said, that's a good question. See, so anyway, the Russian Orthodox Church in exile is not Orthodox for several reasons. First of all, they're not in communion with mainstream Orthodoxy. Secondly, they're not in communion with the Apostolic See of Rome. In the ancient church, an Orthodox Christian was a person who was in communion with the Apostolic See of Rome. If you claimed to be Orthodox but were not in communion with Rome, you were considered a schismatic. So I consider these old calendarists and mainstream Orthodox people to be guilty of appropriation. They're using a Catholic word which doesn't belong to them and giving it a new meaning. This is appropriation. See, I used to be an old calendarist, and I renounced them in December 2013, and I actually renounced Eastern Orthodoxy earlier this year. Now, I never forgot something Joanna of the Remnant Roll Corps website said. She said something to the effect that she can feel where the true church is. I consider this problematic. It is subjective. God never said her feelings are inspired or infallible. He never said human feelings are inspired or infallible. And what about the feelings of other people in different jurisdictions who do not feel that Joanna's jurisdiction represents authentic Orthodoxy? Paisios of Mount Athos, mainstream, recently canonized, and there's a reason he was canonized, did not believe that the old calendarists represented authentic Orthodoxy. So why would she trust her feelings but not other people's feelings who are more pious and devout, who tell them something different? They do not believe in her jurisdiction. Again, it's too subjective, and it seems to be circular in the sense that she's assuming the validity of Orthodoxy, and that it takes her feelings to discover its correct manifestation in the world. See, it's just problematic. And look at where it's led her. Look where her feelings have led her, into schism from a schism. People need to accept the possibility that they could be wrong about things. It's a humbling experience, but you need to do that. There was a time when I was thoroughly convinced of various old calendarist jurisdictions, but I was wrong. See? And I want to ask all you old calendarists, whatever happened to the Nicene Creed's declaration, one Holy Catholic and Apostolic Church? The true church is visible with a visible head. It's easy to find. You don't have to sift through all these competing old calendar sects to find it. I recommend that you people look at the information below in the description box. Read the material. The gates of hell have prevailed over all your man-made sects. They are man-made, and they need to be exposed. The gates of hell have prevailed over mainstream Eastern Orthodoxy as well. So the Russian Orthodox Church in exile is not Orthodox by modern Orthodox standards. It's not Orthodox by modern Catholic standards. It's not Orthodox by the ancient Christian church's standard. See, these people are schismatics. And this old calendar system is a fiasco and a disaster. Human feelings are too subjective. And by the way, Joanna, Orthodoxy teaches us not to trust our feelings, so why are you trusting your feelings? Why would a person have such a high view of themselves to believe their feelings, but not the feelings of other people who are more pious and devout in other jurisdictions and other churches? Anyway, I just wanted to publicly expose the ROCIE and these old calendarists and mainstream Orthodoxy, and I want to direct your attention to the information below in the description box.